Welcome back to the channel. We're doing another carnivore diet interview today. I'm very excited to bring this guest on. She's been on the carnivore diet for, I believe, a little bit over 3 years. She has a pretty big following on Instagram and has inspired a lot of people, including myself. She's lost 20 pounds, cleared her skin, fixed her gut issues, and mental health. So we're going to dive pretty deep into all of those topics today. I'm super excited. So Jess, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. I'm so excited. How's your day been?
Good. It's only 11 here. I'm in California, so it's still
Right.
kind of early.
Right. I forgot you're a couple hours before me. So let's just start right away. I know, like, obviously just a bit about your carnivore journey from following you. But for those that don't know, tell us about how you even started. How did you get into it? It's been 3 years now, so just give us some information on that journey so far.
I started it because my husband showed me the Sean Baker, Joe Rogan podcast, which I think a lot of carnivores have similar origin stories of Sean Baker, Michaela Peterson, those people. So mine was Sean Baker, Joe Rogan. And I was overweight, just really had really bad mental health problems. I was never diagnosed with anything, but just I was moody and irritable and had really bad mood swings and hated myself and had bad anxiety and all that stuff. And I would kill myself in the gym, could never lose weight. I would starve myself and lose weight for a little bit and then gain it back. And I didn't really think that there was anything else for me. I thought that what I was doing was just how it was supposed to be done, of like you crash diet and gain and crash diet and gain. But my husband is much smarter than me, and he did some research. He did some research, and he obviously probably for his own mental health and for mine, he found the carnivore diet basically, and he said, hey, just listen to this podcast. I think that this relates to a lot of what you're going through. It might help you. If you want to try it, I'll try it with you. So in January 2020, we both did carnivore for World Carnivore Month, and that's when I lost 20 pounds. My skin started to clear up. My gut started to heal for the first time in 2 decades. I wasn't constipated. And my mental health started to get significantly better. And I was like hooked after that. And I pretty much stayed with it since then.
That's so cool. Yeah, I had no idea your husband showed you it. So I'm curious, when he first found it, first part, did he think it was crazy? And when he told you about it, did you think it was crazy?
He probably didn't think it was crazy. He's pretty open to things like that. He's not like really dogmatic with anything, which is nice. And he loves learning. Because before we got married, I would only read fiction books. and he loves reading like nonfiction and just good like motivational books and stuff like that. So he's the one that really got me into just like learning and seeking things and trying to figure out what's true and what's not true. So he probably didn't think it was crazy when he first heard about it. He probably looked into it more, but I'm sure because when you listen to Sean Baker and like Judy Cho and Ken Berry, like what they're saying kind of makes sense. So as long as you like just like keep like searching and looking into it and stuff, like it starts to like just click and make sense. And then when I heard it, so what went through my head was, what do I have to lose? I've tried so many other things. Nothing's ever worked. Might as well give this a try. If it doesn't work, I'll just move on to the next thing or just stay like overweight and unhappy for the rest of my life. So that was basically my thought process, was like, what do I have to lose? And then it ended up being the best decision that I ever made.
That is so cool. Yeah, I think it's super similar for a lot of people, like Joe Rogan. I mean, whether you saw Michaela Peterson, Jordan Peterson, or Sean Baker, that's how I found it too. I was just like desperate, searching so much stuff on YouTube for like my gut issues and my acne. And like, I don't even know how I came across that video, but I saw the Jordan Peterson video first and I was like, what? This is insane. Then I just got down, you know how it is. You get down the rabbit hole, you're watching all these videos and you see these people that you can tell like they're just telling the truth, like they're genuinely healthy. and happy, and they just look different. They just like seem different than the rest of the population because you can tell like they've kind of figured out what works. So yeah, it's super cool. Like for me, it was definitely really hard for me to kind of change my mindset, I guess, about like diet and nutrition and stuff like that. So I'm curious if that was like an issue for you as well. And what was your diet like beforehand? Like were you already eating like fairly clean, or was it like a higher carb diet? What was it like?
Yeah, so it wasn't really difficult to change my mindset because I wasn't really dogmatic with anything either. I just did what I was always told or what I always thought was what you're supposed to do, of just really heavily restricting calories to lose weight. So basically starving yourself to lose weight and eating a lot of fruits and vegetables and stuff like that. So I just thought that's what you're supposed to do. And then you would lose the weight and gain it and lose the weight and gain it. Cause I don't know if you're old enough. I'm older than you, but I don't know if you're old enough to remember like the whole like Oprah, where she would like gain weight, lose weight, gain weight.
I remember
Yeah.
that.
So I just like, that's basically what women in society did. So I thought that was normal, you know?
Sure.
So my mindset around it, I wasn't really like concerned about like, oh, my cholesterol, oh, red meat's so bad. The hardest thing for me to get over was eating red meat. Just like mentally, the fat really grossed me out because we never ate red meat in my house growing up because my dad has gout. And he was always told that he can't eat red meat. And and so we never had it in my house. So I never got used to eating really fatty meat. So that was the biggest thing for me to get over when I first started it. But I wasn't concerned about like cholesterol and things like that. Because when I read a bunch of books and I listened to a bunch of podcasts and stuff and kind of like learned, like, this isn't something I really need to be concerned about as long as I'm eating just red meat, not all the carbs and stuff with it and everything. And then my diet before, I was gluten-free for 10 years before I started carnivore. And I was never really like a huge bread person anyway, but just in the standard American diet, there's just like gluten in everything.
Yeah.
But I was never a person that just like ate bread. So it wasn't like a huge like gut punch to me when I couldn't eat gluten anymore. So I was gluten-free and I was basically just eating a bunch of like rice, a bunch of veggies, a bunch of fruit. I drank a bunch of alcohol too. I did have alcohol. And then for meat, I would only eat white meat, chicken, and fish.
Wow.
And that was the only meat I would eat. And then everything else was like plant food.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. No, that's super interesting for sure. So how was cutting out vegetables for you? Was that tough, or were you like, I'll do it?
No. And it was so easy. And I was the person that before I did carnivore, I prided myself on how much I loved veggies. And I would always say there was never a veggie I didn't like, except for mushrooms. I never liked mushrooms. That was like the mushroom's a vegetable, right? Yeah. So that was the only thing that I couldn't eat because it looked like filleted alien skin to me, and I just but other than that, I never met a vegetable that I didn't like. But I think it was just me telling myself like, this is healthy, so you need to enjoy it. But then once I realized I didn't have to eat vegetables and they weren't necessarily like providing me any more benefit than if I would just eat a steak or something else, then I had no problem cutting them out. I was like, okay, bye. And I haven't really missed a vegetable a day since.
Oh my God. I definitely relate to you on that. And the more I think about it, it's just like, life is so much easier without eating vegetables. Like, I don't know about you, but I used to spend so much time like meal prepping, or even just like making like my sweet potatoes, asparagus, mixed vegetables, this and that. And it's like the time you save, the energy you save, and obviously it was, for me anyways, it was definitely causing, I think, like a lot of my constipation and like gut issues as well. So yeah, I used to have such a heavy plant-based diet. I was still eating like similar to you, where I was eating chicken and lean meat, right? As long as it's low fat, I'll have it. So I was having all the lean meat. I would like treat myself maybe once a month with red meat. And like every time I would eat it, I would be like, man, I wish I could eat this every day, but I wish it was better for you. So it's so crazy now thinking about it. But I'm also curious with you and the way that you were eating before, like losing weight, gaining weight, etc. Was that did you have like an issue with binge eating as well? Like, would you restrict yourself for so long until you would break and then you would start eating like a lot? Or were you just eating like so low that when you started having more, like you just started to gain weight naturally?
Yeah, thankfully, I never had any issues with like binging. Of course, I've had those moments of like when you're a teenage girl and you're depressed and you like eat
Yeah.
ice cream. Like I've had those moments. But it was never like a big issue. I was
Okay.
always able to pretty much like control what I was eating. The food I was eating never really controlled me. And alcohol, on the other hand, that controlled me a little bit, and I had a little bit of an issue with that. But like food and sweets and stuff, that was never like something that I like binged on in an unhealthy way. So I never had an issue with that. What was your question again? I'm sorry. I was
Yeah, no, you're good. I was just curious. I didn't know if you had an actual specific binge eating issue or if you were just a calorie thing.
Yeah, no. So yeah, I would restrict, like crazy restrict. Like at one point I was doing NPC competitions, like the National Physique.
No way. Yeah.
Yeah. And while I was doing that, I was eating literally I think it was 2 pieces of tilapia, and then so one tilapia, 7 stalks of asparagus, or 7 like sticks of asparagus, and I would eat that twice a day. So I would have 2 pieces of tilapia and 14 pieces of asparagus the whole day, and then I would just drink water. I think maybe I was still drinking coffee at that point, but I wasn't drinking like highly caloric liquid. So yeah, and I did that for like months, like 3 months, and that was all I was eating. And so I would heavily restrict like that. And then there was times where I would do like an apple fast, because I read in some magazine that that was good for your skin and that clears up your acne. So then I would, for like a whole, like maybe like 4 or 5 days or something like that, I would just eat apples, and that was all I was consuming. So I would do stuff like that, and then once the diet or whatever was over, I would start eating other food again, and then I would just slowly start to gain again. So it was never like once it stopped, I would like binge this whole meal.
Okay.
It was just kind of like I would just slowly start eating like a normal person again, and then slowly start gaining the weight. But yeah.
Wow, apple fast. I need to know, like, what was the maximum amount of apples you would eat in a day?
I don't know, but yeah, I would like literally starve myself. And there was a point I remember in high school, I was a theater kid, and I was the main person in the play my senior year, and I was really insecure about my weight, so I wanted to get skinny before the play, so I like looked good on stage.
Oh, yeah.
My parents caught on, and they would like force me to eat and watch me eat. So thankfully I had like people around me and stuff that like never really let myself get to a point where I was like anorexic or anything like that. Like I was going that direction, and I tried to do that, but it never got to the point where I like needed like intervention. They always like stopped it before it got to that point. But yeah, I would just like eat apples, and hopefully, and it didn't do anything for my skin. Or I would just not eat at all. Or I would do the celery, because remember when we were told that like it's negative calories or something like that.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, I hate celery. Yeah, that's crazy. You're a very interesting case, because I feel like most people I've talked to, and I'm sure you as well, are people that came from maybe like a binge eating history, or like were eating too much food. Yours is really interesting because it's actually the opposite. Like you were not eating enough at all. So I imagine like that was probably difficult. I know you already talked about that, like eating such high fat, high caloric foods. Talk to us about like that first week when you did carnivore. Like, was it messing with you mentally a bit to be eating that amount of food during like the first few days, or do you feel like your body adjusted like pretty well?
So I lucked out, and I had a pretty good transition. I didn't get like diarrhea or anything.
What?
I didn't. No. And because I was so constipated for like just chronically constipated for like 20 years of my life, that I think once I actually went carnivore, my body just like balanced out and it just kind of just went into normal. But yeah, my transition was amazing, and I feel really lucky for that.
Wow.
But yeah, the biggest thing was just getting over the fact of like eating fatty meat. And when we went to the store and we bought a bunch of ribeyes, a bunch of pork. What are the pork called with the bone in it? It's like pork and there's a bone.
Chops?
Pork chops. Okay. We got a bunch of pork chops, a bunch of ribeye, a bunch of bacon, which I never ate bacon before. I always said that I didn't like bacon, but I think it was because I was just telling myself I should not like it because it's unhealthy. And I would eat turkey bacon, and I convinced myself I liked turkey bacon. And then once I went carnivore and gave myself the permission to eat bacon, I could not even look at turkey bacon. I was like, I can't believe I used to eat that and like think I was enjoying it. But yeah, we got a bunch of meat. And when my husband would cook it, I would cut the fat off and give it to him. And then eventually he was like, hey, this isn't healthy. You need to eat that fat since you're not eating any carbs. Like your energy has to come from somewhere. And I read a couple books. I listened to him on Audible. I wasn't like reading them, but I kind of like understood what he was saying with the fat and learned about that. So then I started to like actually intentionally try to eat the fat and get over my fat aversion. But the fat aversion was definitely just the hardest thing for me.
For sure. First of all, your husband sounds amazing. Like that's so awesome. Like to have somebody like not only that supportive, but also like pretty knowledgeable on the subject too. Like I feel like that's such a win-win. What would you say? Because I feel like the fat aversion is a huge issue for a lot of people. Do you have like one or two like main pieces of advice that you would give to people that are like, I want to, I'm trying, but I'm really struggling?
Yeah. Okay. I do. Because I get this question a lot. And the number one thing that helped me was learning more about why I needed to eat the fat. And it really helped change my mindset, because I think it's just, especially with women, it's a mindset thing where you tell yourself that's bad for me. So then you convince yourself that you don't like it. So if you can change your mindset around it of that's good for me, I need to learn how to like it. It makes it a whole lot easier. So I read a bunch of like a Carnivore Cure, Why We Get Sick, The Big Fat Surprise, Lies My Doctor Told Me, Vegetarian Myth, The Carnivore Diet. I read a bunch of those books to kind of like change my mindset around what I was doing. And then I would eat intentionally, like I said, where I would cut the fat, separate the fat from the meat before I would start eating. And then I would pair like a tiny piece of fat with a big piece of meat so I could barely see it, barely notice it. And I would like get it down. And then I was able to eat bigger and bigger pieces of fat that way. And then I would also put my steak in the fridge and eat it the next day, because once the fat is like hardened and turns into like tallow, that changes the texture and it's not all gross and jelly. So I found that cold leftover steak was a lot easier for me to eat than like jelly, like fat. Yeah. And then a lot of people will also cut the fat off and then sear it separately in a pan and get it all like crunchy and crispy, and can eat it, and they actually really enjoy it that way. And then also dehydrated fat, like getting really thin, fatty meat slices and dehydrating it. It is like the most delicious thing. It melts in your mouth. It's so good. So those are all things that I think people could try, but the changing your mindset around it, I think makes the biggest difference. So like learning why you need to eat it.
100%. I feel like with a carnivore diet in general, mindset is the biggest thing. And Jen, delighted to meet you. She made like a really good video on this a few months ago, how like that was like the number one carnivore diet mistake is like people's mindset with it. I think that was an issue for me for so long too, because I almost like felt sorry for myself a little bit that like I had to eat this way. And then I noticed that like other people were feeling sorry for me. And then one day I just had this switch where I was like, wait, I'm technically choosing this. Like I could eat the way I was eating before, but I was so sick. I had cystic acne, all these other issues. So that's like the biggest thing I always tell people is at the end of the day, you don't have to do this, But if you are choosing to do this, like understanding your why and like the main reasons why you're doing it, that was like life changing for me. So I love that you brought that up in terms of like something like even just eating the fat. If you like fully understand it, I feel like it just makes it so much easier. There's so much I want to ask you. So I want to get into your parents a little bit too, because I know that they're both on it. So did they have a pretty similar experience to you where they're just like, yeah, sure, I'll try it? Or were they like a bit resistant to it?
They were a little resistant. They never told me I shouldn't do it. But when I told them like, hey, you guys should start eating more meat, like they were like, yeah, and just kind of like listened. But it wasn't until my dad was diagnosed he was like pre-diabetic, basically diabetic, like right on that line of pre-diabetic, diabetic. And his doctor actually told him to go keto. And when his doctor suggested that to him, he was like, hey, Jesslyn's been telling me this too. Maybe she's right. Maybe I should listen to it. And so but he had gout, or he has gout, like I mentioned before. And he was like, I can't eat red meat because I have gout. And his doctor told him that they just tell people to cut out red meat because it's easier for people to stop eating red meat than it is to stop eating sugar.
Wow.
So they just default to telling people to stop eating red meat because they know that they'll cut that out of their diet a lot faster than cutting the sugar. And my dad said, are you kidding? So you're telling me that for the past 30 years, I could have been eating red meat this whole time? And so he went to more like ketovore, where he just kept his carbs under 50 grams a day. He reversed his type 2 diabetes.
Wow.
He never had a gout flare up. And he lost 30 or 40 pounds. I forget what it is.
Wow.
Yeah. 30 or 40 pounds. And they've been doing it for about a year now. And my mom started doing it with him because they live in the same house, so they eat the same thing. Mm-hmm. And she lost like 20 or 30 pounds, something like that too, around there. And she didn't really have any major health issues, but she had like the aches and pains that come with just old age that she no longer has. And she would get migraines that she no longer gets. So it just overall like benefited her that way. But yeah, so my parents both love it, and they still eat like some vegetables that they grow in their garden and things like that. But for the most part, their diet is like heavy red meat.
That's so cool. I'm always impressed with like our parents' generation accepting a diet like this, because obviously it's even harder for them to kind of get on board with that. It was kind of like similar with my parents as well. I actually never pushed it on them. They just saw me doing it for so long, and then they saw the results I was getting, and my mom was like, you know what? We do eat a lot of vegetables. Like maybe we'll just try it. So it was really hard. Like they were religious about having like their salad or like some side of like green vegetables every night with dinner. So they cut it out for like a couple weeks, and they could not believe how good they were feeling. Like even my dad, like he wasn't eating a ton of carbs, but they always had to have rice, sweet potato, some sort of grain. And when they stopped that, like he wasn't snoring as much. He used to like pass out after every single meal. Like his energy is like through the roof now. He lost weight. So I don't know. It makes me really happy, because I feel like seeing your parents get results from it is obviously such a different feeling than like the results we get ourselves. And yeah, it's just always really cool to hear people's stories about like their parents getting into it.
Yeah.
And just with your dad, I feel like that's so cool. Like he literally had gout. He reversed his diabetes. I mean, just those two things are insane. So that's awesome that you were able to inspire them with that.
Yeah. And my mom worked, I don't know if you've ever heard of the company Abbott. They do like stents and stuff for people who have clogged arteries. And they have a bunch of like insured type beverages and stuff that they give to people like packed with seed oils and stuff. But yeah, so she worked for Abbott like longer than before I was born. So she worked for them. And so she was definitely of the mindset of like red meat clogs your arteries, causes heart disease, all of that. And when I showed her, I remember we were sitting in the backyard one day, and Sean Baker happened to post his CAC score. And I was scrolling through Instagram. We were drinking our morning coffee, and I was like, "Oh, hey!" And I showed this to her, or I showed it to them, And that right there is like what changed her mind, because
Oh,
she, from being in that industry of just seeing clogged arteries and stuff, she had never seen a CAC score of 0. And Sean Baker, after doing carnivore he was on it for like 3 years at that point or something like that.
yeah.
And he got a CAC score of 0. And after that, she was convinced that this was a healthy way to eat, because she had never seen that in her whole career.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool. Sean is the best. I mean, everyone in carnivore is so cool, but yeah, that's awesome. So, obviously I see some of the stuff that you're eating, but I'm curious, from when you first started, were you ever doing a lion diet? Were you ever like super strict, just doing like beef, salt, and water?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
compared to like now? Yeah.
Yes, I did lion for 30 days at the beginning of this year, and I enjoyed it. But I don't have that bad of health issues to where I would need to do it like Michaela Peterson for like an extended, like long-term period. But I always wanted to try lion diet and just see what the difference would be, if it would make me feel that much better. And so I did it, a 30-day challenge, and it improved my sleep, improved my mood, improved a little bit too. My weight didn't change, but my body just kind of looked a little like tighter, but it wasn't, the improvements weren't drastic enough for me to want to like stick with it long term.
Yeah.
I like the variety of the carnivore diet more than just being like restricted to just ruminant meat, which I think maybe if I did the ruminant meat and had like all the ruminant meats available, like it wouldn't be as hard. But when I did it, I was in Okinawa and I pretty much was like restricted to just beef only. And that got a little tough for me. So I enjoy like having like bacon and pork and eggs and dairy and scallops and things like that.
Yeah, 100%. Do you think, or I'm curious, when you did the 30 days, did you find that you were getting an aversion to beef?
Yes, I did get an aversion to beef because I bought a ton of really cheap ground beef from the store, which I'm not opposed to cheap grocery store meat. So I was eating a ton of ground beef, and I was just putting it in a pan and just like eating it with all the fat in it and everything. And then after a while, I was like, oh, I can't just eat a bowl of beef anymore. So, but what I did is I would just slightly change how I prepared it. And that helped a lot. Like, so instead of just a bowl of ground beef, I made like little tiny meatballs and made them nice and crispy in the air fryer. And then that was much easier for me to eat. Or I would like make a patty, or like, so I just like slightly changed it. And then I would like have like steak every now and then instead of just ground beef. So that helped a lot. But yeah, I definitely couldn't do just straight beef indefinitely. I need a little more than that.
100%. I'm with you. And it's so funny because carnivore is already so strict. But then when you do something like lion, you're like, oh my gosh, the variety on carnivore is amazing. You can eat all of these things. I feel the same way. I tried to do lion like a couple times only because I do have like pretty bad health issues. And I felt like even on carnivore, like I wasn't really getting better. But when I did lion diet, I was honestly more depressed. Like I feel like it actually affected my mental health being like so strict. And then plus I was getting like the aversion to beef too. So I find even just being able to throw in like chicken or like some dairy, like whether it's even just like once a week, for me personally, that's like enough to kind of spice things up. But yeah, I always tell people, like, if you don't have to do it, don't force yourself to do it. Like if you're not suffering with any like severe health issues, because I think like, and you can probably speak much more on this since you've been in the carnivore community for so long, but I think people just get so overwhelmed when they're starting, and they feel like they have to be super strict or like they have to be perfect. But it's a journey, right? So I'm curious if you could speak like a bit on that, maybe like any advice for people that are just getting into it, because I think they're seeing all these like mixed messages and they don't really know what to do.
Yeah, I think the best thing is to just like listen to like research and listen to what people are saying, and then like pull what like resonates with you and try different things. If you hear something that someone says, give it a try, and if it works for you, great. If it doesn't work for you, move on to the next thing. I think like self-experimenting is like the biggest thing with all of this, of like, because there's always like these trends that pop up in the carnivore community, and like if you want to try it, great, but don't stick with it just because like so and so said so. Like if it's not working, it's not working. And I feel like that. I feel the same way with carnivore too, of like when people decide to go like incorporate more plant foods into their diet and like go away from carnivore, it's like sometimes people get so upset with them, and it's like let them live their life. Like if carnivore is not working for them, it's not working for them. Like I love it, I'm doing it right now, but that doesn't mean that everyone has to love it. So I think that's the most important part, is just to like try something and then just see how it works for you, and take notes and try something else and see how that works for you, and just figure it out, because there is so much conflicting information that you're not going to get a straight, this is the answer, this is what you have to do. Like you're going to have to find it for yourself. And I think that's like kind of what a lot of people in the carnivore, I think all of us in the carnivore community have in common, is that like we took the initiative, took our health into our own hands, and we found what works for us, like independently on our own by trial and error. And then we're sticking with it. Yeah. Like, but yeah. Did I answer your question?
No, that was a great answer. No, I love that. I kind of have like a two-part question following that. Number one, so obviously you've been on carnivore for like 3 years now. Did you make an account right away? Like, have you been posting consistently for 3 years? No.
I was on carnivore for 2 years before I even started posting carnivore content. I've only been doing carnivore content for like a year now.
Oh my gosh, you blew up pretty quick.
Yeah. So I was a carnivore 2 years. I didn't even know there was a carnivore community. I thought, like, I listened to the Joe Rogan, Sean Baker podcast, and then started reading the books, and did everything just on my own, of just through trial and error, like I was saying. And then I started like finding like carnivore accounts, like, you know how Instagram suggests people would like to follow, and I started following like Lady Carnivore. Do you follow her?
Yeah, she's awesome.
She was one of like the first carnivore people I followed other than Sean Baker. And so I started like getting deeper and deeper into the carnivore community and seeing like all this carnivore content, and I was like, hey, I should do this. and I started posting carnivore content, and then kind of just blew up from there.
That's crazy, because I think I started following you maybe like 7-8 months ago, and I couldn't even tell. Like I thought maybe like you were already posting for like so long, but I think by the time I started following you, you were at like maybe like 60K or 65K. So I didn't really like think twice about it. So that's interesting.
Yeah, no, I had a couple reels that went like viral, and I got like 30,000 followers in like a month or something like that. And then like I had another one where I had like another huge boom. And then now I'm just like kind of slowly growing. I haven't had like another large boom, but yeah, I had a couple like big like booms of followers that helped me grow pretty quickly.
That's so interesting. Leading me to my second part, and me and Courtney talked about this during like our interview, but you get a lot of hate too on Instagram. Like you get a lot of pretty bad comments, but you handle it really well. I feel like you and Courtney both do. So did that ever faze you at any point, or do you feel like it doesn't bother you at all getting those comments?
No, I don't think it did. I've always been I like to stir the pot. That's like a toxic trait. But I think that's like my family too. Like we all just kind of like to poke each other and kind of just see
funny.
Yeah, like so I've always kind of been like, I've never shied away from controversy. So when people make fun of me and stuff, I like to like make fun of them back. Like it's like, okay, we're playing this game, let's go. Like I'm down. Like I grew up in this household of like trying to like make each other cry. Like I am down. So I think just like the atmosphere that I grew up in like really helped me like mentally prepare for getting hate on the internet. And so I don't know. I I kind of always enjoyed it. It takes a lot to offend me and a lot to upset me. So I like to just kind of like poke fun back at people, and then some people, it's the funnest thing when you get like in a back and forth with someone, and it's just not real, it's just like, oh well, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Like, it's so entertaining. I find it so much fun. And yeah, I'll just like sit at night and like if one of my videos does really good and it gets a lot of comments, I'll just like scroll through and me and my husband read them and just crack up. It's like, so it's a form of entertainment. Yeah. But yeah, I'm glad that you think that I like handle the hate well, though. That makes me feel good.
I'll never forget this. I think this was maybe only like a couple of weeks ago. I was dying laughing. You like put one of the comments up there, and it was like some long comment, and then it said something about you being vegan, and you were like, usually, it takes a lot to offend me, but this was way over the line. I have never been a vegan. And I just lost it because I was not expecting that. And I thought that was so funny. So no, you definitely handled them well. You're built different for sure. Because even when me and Courtney were talking, we were like, yeah, sometimes we go cry in the corner after getting some comments. But
no,
I mean, the other thing too is like what me and Courtney were saying is just obviously sometimes people can take it like a little too far. Like I don't get upset if people are like, oh, have fun with your heart attack, or like, what about your clogged artery? Like comments like that don't bother me. But if people are like pointing out specific things like, oh, but your skin isn't even that nice, or like you're still fat, or like this and that, like personal comments like that are, I think, like a bit harder to deal with. But at the end of the day, anyone that's even making a comment like that is obviously deeply unhappy.
Well, this is how I look at it. So when people make comments like that and it's not true, like it doesn't bug me. So like if someone like comments something of like, oh, but your skin's, you still break out or something like that, it's like, yeah, but my skin like just like last year was way worse than it is now. So like that, like, okay, like thanks for that comment. So it's like those things just like go like over my head, because it's like you're judging me like based on now and like not taking into account like everything that I've been through in the past. Like someone made that comment on a reel that I did from the Colorado meetup, and I went around to different people at the meetup and I asked them, if you could only eat one meat for the rest of your life, what would it be? And someone commented, all of these people, like, you're saying that carnivore is so healthy and all of these people are fat, blah blah blah. And I'm like,
my God.
Yeah. And I was like, you have no idea how much weight they've already lost. Like, you have no idea what part of their journey they're on. They could have just started carnivore a month ago. They like that. Like, so when people make comments like that, it's like, it's like stupid and like
pointless. No, that's
know what's true. So if it's not true, if someone comments something and you know that it's not true, like it's me. Yeah.
That's actually, no, I appreciate that. That's actually really powerful. I feel like that's a really good reminder, and you're so right. Like, they are literally judging you right now off this specific video. This could be the first video of yours that they're even ever seeing. They don't know about like your journey from the like last year, 2 or 3. So yeah, that's a good reminder. I think that's something that we need to keep in mind. Like, if we took all these comments personally, then it would just be
the only thing that genuinely like frustrates me is when people like report me for misinformation. Like,
oh my God.
That pisses me off, because it's like you're getting offended by just someone living a different lifestyle than you and having a different opinion than you, and you're like tattling to mommy Instagram. Like, let's duke it out in the comments. Like, I am all for you commenting and me just like making fun of you, like and we just like going back and forth like adults, like
for sure.
But like, I hate when people are like, when people get like report me for misinformation. And then, but thankfully, so I never used to block people, because I always used to think like I was being the bigger person for not blocking people. But then like when they report you, your engagement starts to tank, and it's so hard to like climb out of that hole. So I just started blocking people, and thankfully they're dumb and they tell you, I'm reporting you for misinformation, and I'm like, thank you, block.
Exactly. Oh, exactly. I'm the same way. And well, I only mainly post carnivore stuff like on my TikTok, but I've gotten so many of my posts reported, or it goes against community guidelines. Like, the vegans are just coming for me over there. So I'm like, I'm gonna block you. Like, I don't care. I don't think I'm being a bigger person by letting you just destroy my page, when like the end goal is for me to help other people that are also sick and unhealthy. So if you're going to be crazy and attack me, like, blocked, that's it.
Exactly. And it's like that's like another thing. It's like I'm not trying to force everyone to eat the same way as me. I'm sharing my story, and if people want to give it a try, they can. But if they want to think I'm crazy, they can do that as well. Like
Exactly.
I'm not. So it's like it just is so frustrating that like no, and there's no carnivores going over to vegan accounts and like
Thank you.
them and like reporting them for misinformation when they are clearly like
Clearly.
what they are saying is like not true at all, but we're just combating it with our ideas, which is how society is supposed to work. But like trying to like forcibly silence someone, like if you are the I saw this quote the other day. It was like there's been no time in history where the people who are trying to forcibly silence other people have been the good guys. And people don't understand that. It's like I want you to have your vegan content, and if people want to follow you, they can go follow you. But I want to also have my content, and if people want to follow me, they can follow me. Like, dude, like
exactly.
No use in trying to like shut me up just because I eat differently than you. It makes no sense to me.
It's spot on. And like if you're so confident about like your way of eating and like that we're wrong, et cetera, then you shouldn't be worrying about us because you know we're wrong anyway, so people aren't going to listen to us. But yeah, I honestly get like secondhand embarrassment when I like get all these vegan comments because I like picture myself going to a vegan account and commenting something like that.
Yeah,
it's just like I just don't get it. It's like, why are you? And they're like, I have the same people that keep coming back, and then I just have to end up blocking those people. So yeah, it's funny for sure, but I definitely want to talk about that. Okay, a couple important things that I don't want to forget. So people obviously always want to know specifically what people are eating. So could you walk us through like a day in the life? It could even be yesterday. Like, what are you eating on a typical day? Do you usually stick to 2 meals, or does it differ?
So typically I do 2 meals, but I've been putting prime protein into my coffee.
So good.
I would count that as a third meal because So since I started doing that, I would say that I've been eating 3 meals a day. So how I start my day is I'll do decaf coffee, and I'll put a scoop of the prime protein and a scoop of collagen and a raw egg and some salt, and I'll blend it together and pour it over ice. So that's how I start my day. And then I don't eat again until like maybe like 2 or something like that. Like I'll have that maybe at like 8 a.m. And then at 2, I'll go and have lunch. And my lunch is usually maybe like eggs and bacon, or eggs and some other type of meat that's thawed out in the fridge, like ground beef or pork or sausage, something like that. But typically eggs. And then for dinner, we usually have dinner around like 6 or 7, and that is usually just ribeye. As long as I remember to pull out ribeyes out of the freezer. If I don't remember to pull ribeyes out of the freezer, we generally have to scramble and do something else. Like we'll have like some cold brisket or something. Like I had girl dinner the other night, and it was literally just like cold brisket and sour cream, and then I dipped liver crisps into it and ate that, which I absolutely love because I'm so lazy. And people always make fun of carnivores for like, people are carnivore because they can't cook, and it's like that's such true. Like I definitely am not a good cook. And I love the carnivore diet because I don't have to be. And it's very, very difficult to screw up like meat, cheese, and eggs. Like even if you like, even if you overcook it, like it's still good. So I love carnivore for that reason, and I'm extremely lazy. I don't meal prep or anything like that. I've always hated meal prepping. So I love that I can do like the little girl dinners where I just like throw a bunch of like meat and cheese on a plate, but it's still like really nutritious for me. So I can be extremely lazy on carnivore and still eat highly nutritious food, which is like one of my favorite things about carnivore.
It's literally a life hack. Like when people say that and they think it's an insult, I'm like, you're not insulting me. Like, I am lazy. Like I meal prep for so long, I don't want to do that anymore. Like making a steak or even putting like some like fresh ground beef on the stove, like it takes 3 minutes. It's so easy, and there is like beauty in the simplicity of it. It used to take so much energy trying to figure out what I was going to eat or like what would fit my macros, what I'm going to make for my carbs and this and that. Like just knowing you have like a small group of foods that, and you can eat whatever you want out of that group. It's so easy. Yeah,
And
I love that.
A frozen steak in the air fryer, if you really don't want to thaw it out or anything, just pop it frozen in the air fryer. And
yeah.
Like it's like it's so simple. It's stupid simple.
It is. It honestly is. So do you ever, or I guess, did you ever track your macros or try and hit certain numbers, or do you literally not track at all and you just pretty much like eat as much as you feel like your body needs to?
I used to obsess over calories before I started carnivore, and I think it's been a while, but I'm pretty sure I like was trying to stay around like 800 calories.
Oh.
Yeah. Like I'm pretty sure I was eating like 800 calories a day. And
that's crazy.
Yeah. So, and I used to obsess over calories. And then I would like barter with myself of like, if I don't eat anything for breakfast and lunch, then I can eat like pizza and ice cream and and like I'd like have pizza and have dessert and have my alcohol for dinner, like because on Friday nights we would have pizza night before I was carnivore, and we would so I would do that. So I'd barter with myself of like, okay, so I won't eat anything all day today, and then I can have this, which I guess is kind of like a form of binging, but
a little bit.
Yeah. So maybe I did it but I didn't. It's weird. Like, so I had like binging tendencies, but it was never like,
you weren't eating like thousands of calories. It's just because you were so restricted, so it seemed like binging, but it wasn't really. I know what you mean.
Yeah. But before, obsessed with calories. And then when Shawn Baker was like, you don't necessarily have to count calories on this diet, you can just eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full, I was like, okay, sign me up. I hate, like I said, I'm lazy. I hate having to track. I hate having to meal prep. So I was like, let's do this. I'll trust the process. I'll just eat when I'm hungry and stop when I'm full. And that's what I did since day one. And the only time I ever tracked my macros was because people kept asking me how much I was eating. So I wanted to be able to give them a number. So I did it for a little bit just to see where I was at. But other than that, just for myself, I've never tracked anything. I literally just eat intuitively, and it's worked so well for me.
That's amazing. I love that for you. When you were tracking, do you remember like what your numbers were on average?
Yeah, so I was about 60% fat, and I think I was eating like 2 pounds of meat a day. I think that's what I remember. I don't remember calories. But I was about 60% fat works best for me. When I did higher fat, I just started gaining weight. So I went back down to like 60% fat.
Yeah, I feel like 60-40 is a pretty good split. I feel like on average, most people are doing like 2 pounds of meat a day. That's what I do pretty much like every single day. There'll be like the odd day where maybe I'll have like a bit more if I'm making like a brisket or something like that. Like I've made like a 3-pound brisket before, and I just crushed the whole thing in like one sitting. So it's also different, like depending on what meat you have. Like it's a lot harder to eat like a lot of ground beef versus like a super tender brisket. You can just like throw that whole thing back. But that's good to kind of give people an idea of what your numbers were at. Organs. Do you ever incorporate organs into your diet?
Yeah, so that's another thing where I don't do anything just because someone said so online, you know? Like I've heard people say like, you need to eat organs, and some people say organs aren't that important, just eat other stuff. But I just do what I think is best for me. And there was a time where I was like craving liver. So I started eating liver. And I got a bunch of liver, and I was eating liver like every morning. And then I didn't want to cook it anymore. So I chopped it up, and then I would freeze it, and then I would just eat frozen raw pieces of liver. And then one day it stopped tasting good, and I stopped wanting it. So I stopped eating it. So that's how I kind of do organs, is if my body's craving it, I'll eat it. If it's not, I won't. But I absolutely love beef tongue.
Oh my God. So good.
So I will eat that just for fun. Like when we were in Japan and we would go to yakiniku, the beef tongue was my absolute favorite thing to eat. So I will eat that. Liver, I'll only eat if like my body's craving it. And then heart, beef heart is actually really, really delicious. It's a
So good.
little harder to come by, but if people can get beef heart or try beef heart, definitely try it. It's absolutely delicious. So yeah, I'm not opposed to organs, but I'm also not like trying to eat a specific amount for like A, B, and C,
Yeah.
I just eat what my body wants.
Yeah, no, that's perfect to be able to get to that point, because that was me at first. I was like, oh, you have to eat liver. So I was kind of like forcing myself during the beginning. Then after like so much time, because I used to hate liver, like I could not stand it. After being on carnivore for about like, I would say 3 or 4 months, I feel like my taste buds completely changed. And then, like you said, I started wanting liver, and I was like, what is happening? This is really weird. So then I would basically only eat it when I felt like my body wanted it. Or like when my energy levels were super low, I kind of was like, okay, let's start incorporating some liver. So that's basically how I do it now. But yeah, that's another thing. I feel like it's just an unnecessary thing that people stress about. Like, oh, I'm not getting my 1 ounce of liver a day. It's like, you don't really need to, especially if you feel like you're forcing yourself. Your body is probably telling you that it's not necessary anyways.
Yeah, I think I think that's a huge thing with carnivore, like especially with people in the beginning. It's like, don't force yourself to eat something you're not enjoying. Like, eat the meat you like and the meat that you enjoy eating and the meat you can afford to eat. Like, that is the biggest thing. Like, eat what you like and what you can afford, and then worry about the rest like later, but just start there.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's perfect. Have you had any cravings since you've started? And I'm curious if you've if you've tried reintroducing anything basically in like the last couple of years.
So I haven't really had any cravings. I think the hardest thing for me to give up was alcohol. Like like that was
Proud of you.
Yeah, the sugar. It wasn't really hard for me to give up sugar. I don't know. I didn't really struggle with the sugar thing. But alcohol, that was the thing where like I was like, oh, I would really like alcohol. I was drinking like a bottle of wine by myself a night. Like
No.
every single night. Yeah. I was drinking a lot of alcohol. And so I got cravings for that, and I do every now and then, like if we go somewhere special, I'll have like gin. It's usually, I think it's called a gin Ricky, but it's gin with sparkling water and a lime. Okay. And I'll have that like on New Year's, or if we go out for our anniversary and things like that, I'll have one of those. So alcohol is still something that like I'll have every now and then. And then non-carnivore stuff, like I'll if there's like seasonings or something in food, like I'm not like too worried about it. I'm not gonna like not eat something if there's like a plant in it. Like, oh my God, you can't stay away.
Yeah.
So like but it's like 99% of my diet or something like that is like meat. I do drink coffee still. But yeah, non-carnivore foods, I don't know. I don't really like crave.
Like, you don't have the desire.
Yeah, like if you put like, I don't know. I used to eat a lot of Chipotle. So like if you put a Chipotle bowl in front of me and like a steak, like I feel like I'm gonna choose the steak. Like it's just when I think about that, when people say like, oh, do you ever miss anything? And it's like when I think about like having 2 meals in front of me, like I'm the steak always sounds better to me.
Like you're just content with the way you're eating.
I'm content. Yeah, and I'm not saying that I'll always eat this way for the rest of my life. Like I'm sure that I'll start incorporating new foods eventually, like if I ever want to. But like right now, I'm genuinely happy and eating what I want to eat on carnivore. Like the whole thing you've been saying and we've been saying, like I'm not forcing myself to do this. I'm choosing this and I'm wanting to eat this way, and I feel amazing eating this way. So I don't know, every once in a while too, I'll have like blueberries.
Whoa, she's getting crazy.
Yeah, if that counts. Like every once in a while I'll have like a handful of blueberries. But it's like they're not like, they don't do anything. Like it's kind of like it's like, oh, some blueberries, and then it's like, and then I move on. But it's not like mind blowing, like, oh my God, I have to reincorporate blueberries.
Yeah. That's so funny.
So I don't know.
The main reason I was curious if you've tried reintroducing anything back in is because I wanted to know if you found like the very specific things that triggered your acne, or do you think it was just seed oils mainly?
I think it was seed oils. I really do. Because I haven't really like incorporated much to like experiment and like know for sure like what was causing and I still do like get some breakouts, like dairy. I think if I have too much dairy,
yeah.
I'll start to break out. But yeah, when I go somewhere like to a restaurant or something and they cook the food in seed oils, I will get breakouts like pretty quickly. So I do know that contributed to my skin, and I don't know what else was contributing because I haven't like done that experiment, but for sure seed oils, my skin does not like that.
No, definitely not. How quickly would you say your skin cleared up after starting?
It took a while.
Took a while?
So like it started to clear up to where I could like see noticeable changes, but and I stopped getting like new breakouts after like probably a couple months, but I still had like the redness and little breakouts here and there. It wasn't like those big zits. I didn't get like whitehead zits anymore. It was just kind of like red bumps now. And then so but it took it's still like I still do have like acne scars and some redness and stuff like that, but it is getting better. But yeah, I think skin just takes the longest to heal. And I had acne since like 6th grade until I was 29 years old.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So it's not going, I think that's another thing with going like doing something like this where people expect like everything to happen so quickly. And it's like, if you have to think about it and think about how your body has been like broken and trying to like heal for like decades. So you can't just do something for 6 months and expect it to like catch up and be perfect.
Yeah.
Like you have to be patient and you have to like let it heal. And I think people get really impatient on carnivore because like they see all these people with these amazing success stories and then they want it now. And then they give up really easily. And it's like, you got to let your body heal.
So true. Because even like, no, I love everything you're saying, because even when you zoom out, 1 year isn't. Oh, your puppy!
She came to say hi.
So cute. Oh my god, I saw the little nose poking through. So cute. I was just saying, like, even when you zoom out, like a year really isn't a long time, and I'm kind of guilty of that too. Like, it's so easy to gaslight yourself. Like, even with my skin, like it's not perfect. Like I still have like a lot of scars. I'll still like break out randomly here and there, but it's only been a year. Plus, like I've fallen off so many times too. So I'm sure if I was like perfectly strict for a year, I would give my skin a better chance at healing. But yeah, I agree with you. I think a lot of people are just impatient, and it's easy to just see somebody that's been doing carnivore for years that has perfect skin and be like, oh, why isn't mine perfect after like a few weeks? But you've done so much damage to your body. And we both know even seed oils, they take forever to like officially detox out of your body too.
Yeah. They have like a half-life of like 2 years or something like that. And then people don't take into account like all of the other chemicals and stuff that you might be putting on your skin that isn't helping either.
Oh my God. That's a whole other thing. Yeah.
Sorry, you can go.
I was just going to say, I don't know about you. Well, I know I saw your post on tallow the other day. I actually haven't tried using that on my skin, so I think I want to buy some to try that. Yeah. But I've stopped using like all fragrances, all skincare products, pretty much all shampoo. I do have like the shampoo and conditioner from Spearhead Soaps, the tallow company. So I use that. But yeah, how helpful do you feel like the tallow skincare has been for you? Because I've been dying to try that.
I love it. I honestly love it. I've been using it for about a year now, and I honestly do think that there's a difference in my skin. My skin definitely feels more moisturized. I used to have like weird combination skin of where it would be like really dry, but yet really oily.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, and it's balanced out a lot. And I don't use it every day. Like if I don't put makeup on, like there's days where I just like won't do anything to my face. Like I'll just probably like just rinse some water on my face before I go to bed. So it's like I've definitely chilled way out with my skincare routine, because I used to be that person that had like the 20-step routine. Yeah, to make my face better. And people always joke about how guys just like rinse their face with water with like a dirty cloth and they have perfect skin. And it's like there's something to that. Like guys put all of these chemicals on their face. Like there's something to like minimal like skincare being better for your body. And so yeah, I definitely think I love the Spearhead too, for the shampoo and conditioner and body wash. And then Clara and Fritz is my favorite tallow. And I use them for like body lotion and sunscreen and stuff too.
Oh,
And
cool.
then I also got a water filter for my shower head too.
Nice.
It's like you're like that water that's not filtered is getting put on your skin too, and who knows what that's doing to your skin and your hair and stuff too. So I recently got one of those to step it up further.
Good.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen like some of those pictures of people taking out like their water filter? Oh my god, it's just like filled with mud. Yeah, luckily like my mom's always been pretty good about that stuff, so she has like everything in our house is filtered. So whether it's like the tap, the fridge, or the shower, it's all filtered. And it's funny because if I ever go to like a hotel or like a friend's house or something and it's not filtered, I don't know about you, but I can tell like right away. It smells different. It's just like, it's kind of gross. It kind of has like that musty smell to it.
I haven't, so I put it in and I've been using it. So I haven't showered without it yet for a couple of weeks, but we're about to go on a road trip and I'm actually like contemplating just bringing it with me and putting it in our hotel showers and stuff.
Yeah, you're gonna have to update me because if you don't, I'm gonna be curious to see if you can like notice the difference.
Yeah, I'm still going back and forth of like, do I want to bring it or like I don't know, like I do, but I don't know if I want to go through the hassle of like installing it every single time. I don't know. So
yeah, no, it's a lot of work for sure, but water filters definitely make a big difference. Couple more questions. Have you found that the carnivore diet has helped with any like period cramps or your menstrual cycle in general, even like your mood too, I guess?
Yeah, mood definitely. I used to be insane. I used to have insane mood swings. And I used to think it was just something that ran in my family, which it does run in my family. So, but I'm sure that if we all ate better, that our moods would all be better too. But yeah, it has helped with my menstrual cycle. I used to have really, really bad period cramps and PMS and stuff to where I would be in so much pain that I would like be physically like just like shaking uncontrollably from how much pain I was in. And then I would like, throw up because I was in so much pain. So I used to get that for when I would start my period. I would just like be like shaking and throwing up. And now I don't do that anymore. And I used to have a really heavy flow and it's so light and I mean it's like normal, it's not like abnormal or anything, but it's my period now is like just it's not inconvenient, it's just like it comes and it goes and it doesn't hinder me in any way. Like literally the only thing that happens is my boobs get a little bigger now and I'm not mad about that.
Yeah, that's okay.
But that's like the only side effect. I don't get like back pain anymore. I don't get the cramping. I don't get like the mood, like my mood kind of changes because like your hormones are like changing. So like I'll like be more sensitive to stuff and everything, but like it's not insane like it used to be to where I would like scream and yell and get so mad at like the drop of a hat or just like start crying and stuff like that. So definitely has helped my period.
Isn't that crazy? I think that was one of the most mind-blowing things for me because I was pretty much like the same way as you. I mean, luckily I wasn't throwing up, but I was like curled up in bed in like severe pain for like even the first 3 days and just like the mood swings, everything. But like the cramping and back pain was so bad, it would just like put me out like for like almost the whole week. And now you said it perfectly. It's not inconvenient. Like I know it's going to happen and it kind of just happens and that's it. Like I'm still able to go to the gym. I still can like work all day. Mm-hmm. And that is just even a year later, it's so hard for me to wrap my head around. Yeah. Like the food I was eating literally made.
Yeah. That's the hardest thing. That's the hardest thing for me to come to terms with is that I didn't have to go through all the things that I went through. And that is so hard for me because like I didn't have to have acne. Like I didn't have to be like the fat kid like growing up. I didn't have to like have all of these like insecurities and body image issues and things like that. Like if I was just eating like a normal, like a proper human diet, none of that would have happened to me. And it's just, I'm glad that I found carnivore when I did, but like part of me is like, why couldn't I have like found this sooner?
I think about that all the time, but then I'm like, okay, I'm still pretty young. Like if I can be able to help out my kids and you know, like so many other people throughout the rest of my life, it's so worth it. But I know what you mean. Like trying everything. Like I tried birth control, I tried antidepressants, I tried like
Did you go Accutane?
Luckily, no. When I started carnivore last year was when my acne was at like the absolute worst, and my doctor was like, okay, it's time, like you got to go on Accutane, like nothing else is working. And I was like, no, like I knew that it was just going to cause all these other issues. My gut was already destroyed. And then 2 weeks later I started the carnivore diet. Within 4 weeks, like all of my cysts were gone, so like they were still there, but they were just like really small. And then I saw my doctor like 2 months later, and my skin was like almost perfectly clear, and he was like, what the heck did you do? And I told him, did you go on it?
Yeah, I went on birth control.
No way.
I did birth control and Accutane and like all.
No way. You did Accutane.
I did Accutane for like the longest period of time that they let you do it. And they kicked me off of it.
Okay, wait. That's crazy. I didn't know you were on it. So how much of an improvement did you even find? Or
0.
Literally none at all? What?
0. And it was so hard because I did it, and I did it at the same time as this guy in my high school, and his skin cleared up and mine didn't. God. All it did for me was it dried out my skin really bad, but I still had acne. So I looked like I was like shedding like a lizard. So I like had like flaky, dry skin with acne. So it was like in high school as a high school girl, and I was 20 pounds overweight, and it was just
traumatizing.
Yeah, it was not.
No, actually, that's traumatizing, especially in high school.
Yeah, it was so bad. It didn't help me at all, and it just gave me whatever it did to my body. Whatever it did to my body, not anything good. So yeah, And the birth control was awful too. I like gained 10 pounds or something like that on it, and then I like could not lose it. Like that was like the hardest weight for me to lose, was what I gained when I started birth control, and it made my mood swings even more out of control. And I asked my mom, or I asked like, can I need to be taken off of this, because I couldn't even handle myself. Like I was not in control of my mind anymore. It was crazy.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt on birth control too. Like I was literally suicidal. I was like, something is not right. Like this is supposed to be helping, and it's making me feel like I'm not even connected to my own body. That's crazy. I didn't realize like acne was that big of an issue for you, but that was like a huge thing. So that was probably
The sad thing is I genuinely thought that I had acne for so long that I thought that my skin would never get better. I had it for so long, and I tried so many things, and nothing ever worked. I really thought I was going to just have acne forever, and it was like a huge insecurity of mine. And I don't have any pictures of my skin with acne.
No, I was just gonna ask. You don't?
No, I don't, because I deleted. And when in high school and stuff, we didn't have like smartphones. We had like digital cameras still. So like anytime there was a picture of me with acne, I deleted it, or I would throw it away, or I would like, it was like the beginning of Facebook and stuff, and I would like heavily like Photoshop my skin if like I put anything up. So I don't have any pictures of my skin before, and I've looked and I've asked my mom, and all the pictures that I do have from around that time, because they're like digital cameras and stuff, it's like blurry, not good quality. And I'm like, I never would have, like, if you would have told me back then that I would be like, I wish I would have had photos of my skin, of how bad it looked, I would have thought you were crazy. And because I was like, why do I want to remember this? Why? It's never going to get better. Why do I have to keep looking at it? Like, I hated my own reflection so much. When I would like go into a bathroom, I wouldn't look in a mirror. Like I would like wash my hands and like walk out of the bathroom. I didn't even look at myself in the mirror, because I hated my reflection so much, and I didn't want to ever be reminded of it. And that's like, I would have like crazy mental breakdowns. My poor husband, like when we would go out, and if my makeup didn't like perfectly cover my skin the way I wanted it to, I would like take it off and put it back on, and take it off and put it back on, and my skin would get red, and then I would start to cry and start to get mad, and then I would be like, I'm not leaving the house. And it was hindering my life.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh, I appreciate you like sharing all of that. I feel for you so hard. I mean, I have such a soft spot for people that are going through acne, cystic acne, any of that, because no matter what, even when people say like, "Oh, it's okay," like you know, other people are like, "Oh, it's not even that big of a deal. I don't even really notice." Other people don't care that much. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like you said, like you can't not think about it, and it's not even the way it looks. Like a lot of people that are struggling with acne, it's painful. Like it
Yeah.
hurts. You can feel it when like you're eating, you're smiling, you're talking, you're moving your face. It's just, yeah, it's crazy. So I'm so happy for you because I didn't realize you were going through it that much with
And
that.
and no dermatologist, like even with PMS and stuff too, like no doctor. Even when I was sick, like I would get sick all of the time too, and I would go to the doctor and they would just put me on a Z-Pack. So I was just constantly on antibiotics.
Yep.
And no doctor, no dermatologist, no one ever talked to me about my diet. It was just, oh, this is a problem. Here's this pill. Take this pill.
And doesn't it seem so obvious too? I mean, like now looking back, it's like, hello, like why wouldn't it be coming from your diet? But I guess like growing up, you know, they brainwash you to thinking like it's probably not that, and it's like all these other external things. But it is crazy now thinking about it. Like I saw so many specialists too for my skin, got so many different treatments, thousands of dollars on acne products. Most of the acne products made my acne worse, actually, because they were just filled with chemicals. So yeah, it's very empowering to get to the point where, even though it is frustrating, like you said, like why do we have to go through this and deal with this and that? It's like, okay, if we can come out the other side and help other people, then to me it's 100% worth it.
And that's why I felt like I wanted to start like sharing my journey about this, because it's like I wish that I found someone like on social media that was like went through, like if I was a teenager, like someone going through the same thing as me and had come out on the other side. Like people always are like, oh, you're an adult looking for attention on social media, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, like that's the whole point of social media, is to like bring attention to the things that you want to bring attention to. So heck yeah, like I'm going to be sharing my story on social media because I wish that I would have found this sooner. So if I can help someone to find out this information sooner, and they might try it, and it might change their life like it does mine. So yeah, I'm going to be an adult.
Exactly. And there's a difference between seeking attention solely for selfish reasons and for seeking attention because you actually have good intentions of helping other people. So yes, I'm looking for attention.
Yeah.
Thanks, Captain Obvious.
Yeah. No shit, Sherlock.
That's so funny. I love that. Okay. I keep saying last two questions, but I swear these are the last two. So part one is going to be, I know we've already talked about all the things that Carnivore has healed for you, but if you absolutely had to pick only three things, the biggest three things that Carnivore has helped you with, either physical or mental, what would you say if you had to narrow down to three?
Mental health. Like I started Carnivore for the weight loss initially because it was just so hard for me to like maintain the body that like I knew that I belonged in, which I'm gonna rabbit trail, I'm sorry.
No, go for it.
Like I like knew, like that's why I would like constantly try to lose weight, but I was just doing it wrong because I wasn't nourishing my body. I was like malnourishing my body. So I knew that I didn't belong in the body that I was in, and I felt trapped. And I kept constantly like trying. And then when I found Carnivore, like that's why I don't track, I don't do anything, I just eat this way, and this is the body that I've like been able to maintain for 3 years, and I'm so happy with it. I initially started Carnivore to lose that weight, and it worked, but I stayed with Carnivore because of the impact on my mental health. Like that blew me away because I was like, I swear I was bipolar or something, but I was never diagnosed with anything. But I was out of control to where I would be like perfectly fine, and then drop of the hat, just like so like angry or so sad or so depressed. And it was just like drop of the hat, like mood change, crazy mood swings. And that is like doesn't happen anymore. Of course, I still get like mad about stuff, and I'm a human being, but like I can control myself now, and I was never able to do it before. Where like is before, if I would get mad, it felt like it's like something else, like I would like black out or something, and it like felt like something else was controlling me, and I like couldn't stop myself. It's like the weirdest feeling. But now I can like actually control my mood, and I've talked about this before, and people will comment and say like, oh, so you are a mature adult now and you're a nice person now. And I'm like, bro, like if you've never had anger issues, like you don't understand like, how it controls you.
It's not as simple as that.
Yeah. So yeah, the mental health benefits, number 1, and then the constipation thing, number 2, because that you said you dealt with it too. Like
Bad.
I was so bad. I would go to the bathroom once every like 3 weeks.
Holy, that's bad.
For like almost 20 years of my life, like once every 3 weeks.
That's way worse than mine was.
And that's why I was getting acne. That's why I had weight that I couldn't lose because I was literally just full of shit. And I had acne because it was trying to like push its way out of my body any way it could.
That's crazy.
So
3 weeks.
I was so constipated. And when you are constipated, that's like the only thing that you can think about.
Oh yeah.
If you try to go to the bathroom, I would like cry. There would be days where I would just like cry because I wanted to go to the bathroom and I just couldn't. And there would be, and if I would, when I finally would, when I was a kid, I remember my mom like having to hold my hand and just like be crying going to the bathroom because it was so painful. And then yeah, it just it was not fun. So I dealt with that. No one ever like people, guess what doctors told me? Eat more fiber, more fiber. Guess what didn't help? All of that
fiber.
And so nothing ever helped. The fiber never helped. It wasn't until I cut out the fiber out of my diet completely that I stopped being constipated. So mental health, constipation, and then my skin clearing, or I guess not necessarily like my skin, but just like my self-confidence, which I guess mental health, but like no longer like body dysmorphia, and I'm like way more confident, and I just feel like myself finally. Like, I've talked about this before too, where like before carnivore, I felt like my personality was like the personality that I wanted to have, but it was like an act. Like I was putting on an act of like who I wanted to be. And then with carnivore, it's like it kind of just like strips all of the like fakeness away to where you can just like be you. And I feel like I'm finally just me. It's like the weirdest thing. Like you feel self-confident. You don't have to fake anything anymore. You don't have to like try. You're just like, it's like the carnivore zen, or I think people call it. You're just like you. It just because you take everything away. Like you're not worried about like what am I gonna eat? How much do I weigh? Like what happens if my clothes don't fit? Blah blah. My skin looks off. Like you strip all of that away. And you can just like live your life on carnivore and just be like the person you're supposed to be. And it's like, it's so amazing.
I literally have goosebumps. No, that was so good. I love the way you just said all of that because it's so true. And I guess I never even really thought of it that way. But when you think about the way we were living our life before, like you said, you're literally focused on everything else, kind of like besides your true self. Like you can't even really focus on that because you're worried about your skin. You're worried about not being able to freaking poop, like your stomach.
You're worried about your calories. Yeah.
That's so cool. I love that. No, that's super inspiring to me. It's literally like you pretty much found yourself through simply just adjusting the way you're eating. It seems so simple, right? When you just say it.
It's so dumb. Why didn't we find it sooner?
It's so dumb. It's so dumb. But man, I really hope this does reach the right people because you can help so many people for sure. And like your story is like insanely inspiring. And obviously I didn't even know like half of it either. So I feel very honored that you shared all of that today. So I'm super grateful for that. We're going to end off with the last question that I always ask everybody. Again, feel free to go on a tangent. Another 3-part, your biggest 3 tips for people that want to start carnivore.
Okay, biggest 3 tips is learn and research. that helped me the most, was like reading the books and learning the why, because all we can tell you all day long, hey, carnivore did this for me, and you could try it and like maybe not get the same results, or like maybe want to quit, blah blah blah. But knowing the why behind what you're doing is like a huge motivation. Like people say like having a why is really helpful, but knowing why, like knowing why you want to choose that ribeye over a bowl of cereal, like is a huge like helpful thing of like sticking with this diet when you do feel like you want to go off track. So research, and then I guess being a part of a community is really, really helpful too. And I didn't do that for like 2 years. And I don't think like everyone has to do it. Like if you feel like you can do it on your own, that's great. But like it really does help. Like once I did start getting involved in the carnivore community, like it is so much more fun. Like
it's
like,
a lonely road. It's hard to do it by yourself.
It's hard. It is hard. Like you can do it by yourself, but like it's so nice just having people around you that think the same way as you, that are kind of on a similar journey as you, that believe like the same thing you believe. Like that really is helpful, especially if you are starting to like waver. Just being able to like lean on someone for support, or ask someone questions and get like resources and stuff, that is really huge. So like research, community, and then I think the third thing would be just like doing what's best for you. I think a lot of people get so like they want to follow the carnivore diet because it's like this cool diet trend thing, and they have to stick to it in order to call themselves a carnivore. They have to eat a certain way. And I think people get like too consumed with trying to earn the carnivore title instead of really focusing on just like doing what's best for them. So I think just like listening to yourself, just trying out different things. If carnivore is not working for you, like try something else. Like figure out what's working for you. Like don't be dogmatic about it. Don't just follow trends just because some big person said to do something. Like really just like do what you think is best for you. Do your research, like have a community, and just listen to your body and do what you think is best for you, instead of like your health is more important than a title, if that makes sense.
So good. Your answers are amazing. No, I love that. I love asking people that question because everyone always gives me a different answer, but that was amazing. I totally agree with you on that. This was such a good talk today. I don't even know how it's been like over an hour. I feel like I also wanted to dive more into like fitness and stuff like that, but we're just going to have to do a part 2.
Okay.
So we can hopefully talk more about that stuff. But for those people that don't follow you, where can people find you? TikTok, Instagram?
Yeah, so I'm most active on Instagram. It's my name, which is right there, Jesselyn.Randall on Instagram. And then I think on TikTok, it's the same. It's just Jesselyn Randall. I'm pretty sure, though, if you just search my name, that my will pop up. I don't think it's a very common name.
It should pop up.
But Instagram is where I'm most active.
Okay, perfect. And obviously, I'll put all of the links to your channels in the description too. But thank you so much for coming on today. I feel like re-inspired, honestly, after talking to you. Like it was just really cool to hear more about like your story and the things that you've been through, and keep handling all the haters and just laughing them off. And I'm super grateful for your time today. So thank you again.
Yeah, thanks for having it. It was lovely talking to you.
Yes, you too. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. That was such a good talk. I feel like I'm still taking in so many of the things that she said, so I really hope you guys enjoyed that. If you did, please make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on the bell notifications so you're always up to date when I upload a new video. And like I said, I'll put all the details in the description as well. If you guys have any other comments or questions, be sure to drop them below. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.